I have talked before about how Texas has passed a law already allowing trained social workers to be replaced by untrained Christian chaplains in public schools. I have said religious chaplains have begged school districts not to go through with it. But this sort of thing, trying to get chaplains into public schools, Iowa Republicans just filed a bill to allow chaplains in their schools. I think Florida Republicans have advanced a similar bill, giving local school districts the option to establish a volunteer chaplaincy program. I think I just saw today Indiana passed another chaplain in schools bill. And critics have been saying for months now, all of this is nothing more than a new way to shove Christianity into public schools. Now, defenders of these bills, if I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, they say it's a way to improve students' mental health at a time when schools are often understaffed when it comes to social workers and counselors. So having chaplains in schools would give kids, according to one advocacy group, a solid spiritual foundation and a safe space to express their pains and frustrations. So see, it's not about religious indoctrination, they say. It's about meeting the needs of students with the help of faith-based groups. But they always say, like whenever they talk about it, they kind of go out of their way to say, this is totally secular. Like we're not trying to shove Christianity down your throats. Well, about that, you know who seems to disagree with that? Mays Middleton, who is the Texas state senator who sponsored the bill to get chaplains in schools, because he was on a podcast recently this week on the Wall Builder show with Christian pseudo-historian David Barton and his son Tim Barton and a constitutional coach named Rick Green. And I'm going to show you part of their conversation here. This is a transcript from their podcast this week. And speaking at the top here is Mays Middleton, and then you get Rick Green. But look at what Mays Middleton said about the chaplaincy bill. What happened is our U.S. Supreme Court, thanks to Donald Trump, President Trump's appointments, made it possible for us to go win some of these fights and put God back in government so people can freely exercise their religious beliefs in government and in schools. Mays Middleton goes on to say, yeah, this is putting God back in government. This, he's referring to the chaplaincy bill. This allows students, faculty, staff to freely exercise their religion and have this tool available. Someone to talk to from a godly perspective, because chaplains represent God in government. That's what they do. That's what we need more of in this country. And thankfully, because of the Coach Kennedy case, we're able to do that without any legal challenges. Of course, these atheist groups out of Washington, D.C. oppose chaplains in schools, but their legal arguments are now totally meritless, and they won't win if they try. Like, you guys, he is admitting everything. First of all, the idea that there is a slew of atheist organizations in Washington, D.C., and they all have this outsized power is laughable. Like, if only they did, but they do not. But more to the point, like, no church-state separation group, no atheist group would ever prevent a staffer or a student from seeing a chaplain who shares their religious views if they wanted to. They can always go to church and do that. What they can't do and shouldn't be allowed to do is use government resources to advance their personal religious agenda. That is what this bill, this now law, does. Middleton doesn't give a damn about non-Christian students because he knows his bill would benefit Christians who have the infrastructure to, create and ordain chaplains. They have that infrastructure far more than any other group. In fact, his bill doesn't even require those chaplains to have any formal training, which shows you just how little he cares about students. Like, same with the Republicans who passed this bill. They just needed a way to get Jesus in the building, and they figured out this would do the trick. By the way, later on in the interview, Mays Middleton said, schools have been worse off ever since prayer was taken out of our public schools in the 1960s. It wasn't. He's lying. He doesn't know what the law does. Like, that's not what happened. They said mandatory forced prayers are not allowed in public schools anymore. But if you guys want to pray in school, you could still do it. Kids can bring a Bible to school if they want to. It's fine. No one's stopping them from praying. Mays Middleton is very much like a Steve Bannon type here. He just floods the zone with faith-based bullshit in order to win over gullible Christians who don't know any better. And he also, by the way, has filed multiple bills to bring Bible readings to public schools and to do away with all kinds of church state separation barriers. And he pushed all those bills for the same reason he pushed this one. He really does believe that the church, and his church specifically, should dictate state policy. And unfortunately, Texas Republicans don't have the courage to say no to this guy.